Sports fans are a passionate bunch, there's no denying it. When it comes to their teams, they are willing to go to bat for their guys through thick and thin, and their commitment to the team that they love can sometimes distort their perception of reality. I can tell you I am a prime example of this firsthand. I definitely inject the copium and ignore the red flags that pop up, and I also think it's okay to be an optimistic fan that sees the glass half full. But sometimes you do need to accept the truth, and that brings us to today's video. Today, we are going to be dishing out one cold hard truth about all 30 NBA teams. Call them hot takes if you'd like, but there's something about every single NBA team that their fans need to come to terms with and hear, and I also want to clarify that this isn't going to be a video filled with nothing but negativity, because quite a few of these are actually good things about these teams or players. They're just not yet commonly believed by the masses. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. We'll be starting with the Eastern Conference teams, then work our way over to the West. So first up is the Atlanta Hawks, and the cold hard truth is that Jalen Johnson has overtaken Trae Young as best player on the team. This one has even been difficult for me to fully accept because I feel as though I'm higher on Trae Young as a player than the average fan is, but we are now officially well past the point where we can deny how impressive and impactful on both ends of the floor Jalen Johnson has become. He's averaging about 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, shooting 53% from the field and 41% from 3, and the Hawks started to completely turn their season around after Trae Young went down with an injury, and the keys were handed to Johnson to run the show. There's still obviously a place for Trae Young here, and the team definitely needs his playmaking talent, but it also needs to be understood that he may be second fiddle now. Next is the Boston Celtics, and the cold hard truth is that it was a mistake offloading Jrue Holiday this summer. When Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, the Celtics rerouted and chose to embrace a mini rebuild year because they figured they didn't have a chance to contend. They offloaded both Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday to save money, but now Boston are still firmly in the playoff picture anyway, and Jrue Holiday is still playing some outstanding basketball over in Portland. Anthony Simons is fine as a scoring threat off the bench, but there's just no denying that they would be better if they still had Holiday on the team as a defender and secondary playmaker, especially with Derek White struggling, and with rumblings of Jason Tatum potentially being able to return before the season ends, it looks like they miscalculated this move. Next is the Brooklyn Nets, and the cold hard truth is that Michael Porter Jr. is fool's gold. MPJ is having a career year in Brooklyn after being shipped out of Denver and being given a full green light as the team's #1 option. He's averaging an efficient 25 points per game and is taking his game to a level we haven't seen from him, but I need everyone to understand that this is a product of his environment and not a development that would continue on a team with winning aspirations. The Nets are a terrible team, and Porter doesn't have to worry about the amount of shots he takes because the team is motivated to lose games. Any team looking to trade for him at the trade deadline thinking they're getting a 25-a-night guy within a winning system would be fooling themselves. Next is the Charlotte Hornets, and the cold hard truth is that Con Knippel is this team's best player. The Hornets need to embrace a new era of Charlotte basketball because the LaMelo Ball era has not provided a single noteworthy accomplishment, and now Ball's play on the court is trending in the wrong direction. Con Knippel has legit star upside, and has fit into their lineup seamlessly as a knockdown shooter with incredibly underrated creation skills on the ball, and he's averaging nearly 20 points per game while having to share the court with high-volume, low-efficiency players like LaMelo, Miles Bridges, and Brandon Miller, so the sooner that they start tailoring things around Knippel and his high IQ play, the better their future will be. Next is the Chicago Bulls, and the cold hard truth is that everybody jumped the gun on anointing Matas Buzelis as a star. Buzelis is a player with loads of potential, and when the Bulls started the season red hot, Buzelis had a few strong outings right out of the gate that had talks shift to him potentially being a rising star already in year 2. Then both he and the Bulls cooled off and came back down to reality, and we need to be more realistic about our expectations. Buzelis has very intriguing intriguing potential as a 6'10" creative on-ball wing, but he is still way too streaky of a shooter to anoint, and he has scored in single digits more often than he has dropped 20 or more points in games this season, showing that he is still a long way away before he puts it all together. Next is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the cold hard truth is that Evan Mobley's upside is not as sky high as many think it is. I've seen almost every mainstream sports media outlet crown Evan Mobley as the best player from the 2021 NBA draft in redrafts, and he's been considered the next coming of Kevin Garnett by many in reputable circles, but this is now his 5th season in the NBA, and he still has not yet once even averaged 20 or more points per game. Mobley is a Defensive Player of the Year winner with incredible impact on that end of the floor, but offensively, the truth is he is way more limited than the optimists want to believe, and realistically, he doesn't have the wiggle, strength, or touch to game in and game out handle the rigors of a go-to scoring option. Next is the Detroit Pistons, and the cold hard truth is that Dennis Jenkins is a better player right now than Jaden Ivey. This will sound like a hot take, but NBA politics are absolutely a thing, and teams will always give more leeway to their lottery picks than to guys that start on two-way contracts, no matter what they do on the court. Dennis Jenkins stepped up and dominated the middle of the Pistons' 13-game win streak, helping keep it alive even when leader Cade Cunningham was missing games. He reliably shot the ball, he bought relentless toughness attacking the paint, and he was dishing out a ton of assists in a lead role, running the offense well while playing some hard-nosed defense too. He deserves to be in the rotation full-time, but ever since the return of Jaden Ivey from injury, he has been relegated to insignificant playing time, and Ivey has immediately reclaimed his minutes regardless of how he's been performing. Next is the Indiana Pacers, and the cold hard truth is that Tyrese Halliburton deserves a lot more respect than he gets. Throughout the entirety of the Pacers' run to the NBA Finals last season, Halliburton was one of the most heavily scrutinized stars going. His box score numbers weren't always what you would come to expect from a star, but way too many people used that as evidence that his impact on the Pacers was overrated. They said he was carried half the time, and coming into this season, a lot of people were still thinking that the Pacers would stay afloat in the East without him. Well, they're in 14th place in the conference standings right now. Halliburton's playmaking ability and selfless ability to keep things flowing, regardless of whether or not he gets his, makes the Pacers what they are, and we're seeing in real time right now what happens when the intangibles that don't show up in the box score get ignored. Next is the Miami Heat, and the cold hard truth is that Norman Powell is closer to being an all-star than anyone realized. Powell, for most of his career, has been one of the league's best sixth men, and nobody ever really expected much more from him. Last season, he got his first real taste of a bigger role after the Clippers let Paul George go, and he thrived early on, but an injury derailed his breakout year last year. The Heat were somehow gifted Powell this offseason basically for free, and they're reaping the rewards, learning that Powell's breakout season at the start of last year was no fluke, because in the absence of Tyler Hero, Powell has once again been producing at an elite level, putting up a highly efficient 25 points per game, helping lead the Heat back near the top of the Eastern Conference standings, and with Hero now back healthy, this is a surprisingly dangerous group. Next is the Milwaukee Bucks, and the cold hard truth is that this is Giannis Antetokounmpo's last season as a Buck. Bucks fans, it's over. It's time to stop clinging to false hope and admit that it has been one hell of a run. They'll have the 2021 title run to hold on to forever, but there just isn't any realistic way back to the top, and Giannis is still in the peak of his prime, looking to maximize the time that he has left, trying to win another championship. It would be wise for this group to trade him near the trade deadline to speed up the transition and bring in as many assets as possible, but even if that doesn't happen, next offseason will almost assuredly be when this split goes down. Next is the New York Knicks, and the cold hard truth is that they were sold a lemon in Gershon Yabusele. For those unfamiliar, the term lemon usually refers to cars that have major flaws that look good on the surface. Yabusele looked like one of the most impactful role players on the free agency market, but since his arrival in New York, he has reverted right back to the player that he was when he originally flamed out of the NBA while playing for the Celtics. There's a reason things didn't work out for him the first time around, as someone who tends tends to be overweight and out of shape, and his shooting touch from last season is looking like an outlier hot season because otherwise he has been completely ineffective as a scorer and even as a defender too. Next is the Orlando Magic, and the cold hard truth is that Franz Wagner is this team's best player. Paolo Banchero is the one who was selected number 1 overall in the draft, and he's the one with more name recognition and hype surrounding him. But if the Magic want to truly reach their ceiling, they need to accept that Franz is the alpha. Franz's usage in the Magic offense is nowhere close to what it should be, despite currently being the team's leading scorer. The offense runs so much smoother through him, he makes smarter decisions on the ball without ball stopping, he's a better passer, and he's a better defender too. Next is the Philadelphia 76ers, and the cold hard truth is that VJ Edgecombe needs a lot more patience than initially thought. When Edgecombe started the season on fire, it was hard not to get excited about the possibility of him already being a star in the making, but ever since that opening week, he has cooled off a ton, and the reality of him as a player right now is that he is incredibly raw and inconsistent, which should be expected from a rookie. He still absolutely can have a bright future, but he's realistically not in the Rookie of the Year race like many thought he was leading not too long ago, and he has a lot of developing to do as an on-ball operator before he hits that next gear. Next is the Toronto Raptors, and the cold hard truth is that Jamal Shead is one of the best bench players despite what the stats show. Shead is the furthest thing from a household name, but when he subs in, he ignites Toronto on both ends of the floor. Arguably the best perimeter defender on the team, he's locking up his matchup while also serving as a strong ball handler and playmaker, dishing out 5 assists a night too, while rarely turning it over. His finishing inside does need work, but he's a serviceable shooter from the outside, and is playing an important role for this team. Next is the Washington Wizards, and the cold hard truth is that they still don't have an identity. At this point in a rebuild, you typically see young teams form the foundation of the way they will want to play moving forward, but in Washington, they have a lot of young talented players that don't really seem to fit together. Some of their players are at their best running up and down the floor pushing the pace. Some do their best when the game slows down in half-court settings. Some succeed in a system full of ball movement, and others are ball-dominant score-first guys. If they want to level up, they're going to need to hone in on a true path forward, and that's going to mean some tough questions regarding who stays and who goes that need to be answered. Now over to the teams in the Western Conference. Next is the Dallas Mavericks, and the cold hard truth is that Anthony Davis needs to be traded. The charade is over. The Mavericks have accepted that Nico Harrison botched things, and now that he's been fired, it's time to clean house and start fresh. This is not a team with any kind of realistic playoff aspirations, and while Davis and his health struggles haven't exactly helped much in that regard, he is still someone who contending teams will be inquiring about, and the Mavericks desperately need a true rebuild anyway. Next is the Denver Nuggets, and the cold hard truth is that the trade for Cam Johnson was still worth it despite Johnson's struggles. It's easy to look at the swap of Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson as a whiff, since Johnson's gotten off to such a slow start and Michael Porter Jr. has been putting up 25 points a night, but you also need to keep in mind the difference in salary allowed the Nuggets to bring in players like Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas. Plus, Johnson has been starting to find his shooting touch again lately, so he could still turn it around too. Next is the Golden State Warriors, and the cold hard truth is that Jonathan Kuminga is not worth re-signing. The Warriors just dealt with a long, arduous offseason hijacked by Kuminga demanding max money to return. Kuminga and his camp believe that he is a star in the making, and the Warriors don't, so they worked out a one-year prove-it deal for this season, and while Kuminga is still a useful player in their rotation, he's just not worth the headache nor the financial investment that it's going to take to keep him long-term, as someone whose production is actually regressing this year from last year. Next is the Houston Rockets, and the cold hard truth is that Reed Sheppard is worth that top 3 pick they used on him. Sheppard has come under heavy scrutiny throughout his career so far after barely seeing the court at all as a rookie last season, and starting this year a bit slow in his first consistent taste of action too. I was very high on Sheppard coming out of Kentucky, and even I can say that I was getting a little nervous about his future at times, but the truth is, young players need patience, and the Rockets are now benefiting from having patience with him as he has been playing some amazing basketball over the last few weeks, and on the year, he's averaging 14 points per game off the bench, shooting a red-hot 45% from 3. Next is the Los Angeles Clippers, and the cold hard truth is that trading away Norman Powell was the worst mistake they could have made. The Clippers were a surprisingly good team last season after everyone was writing them off before the year, and a lot of it stemmed from Powell successfully emerging as someone capable of replacing Paul George's scoring production. The Clippers took that for granted when they moved him for John Collins this past offseason, and then they also brought in Bradley Beal to try to replace Powell's role, but this gamble has backfired hard, and now they've sunk to the bottom of the standings in the Western Conference without even a draft pick to try to tank with. Next is the Los Angeles Lakers, and the cold hard truth is that Austin Reeves is one of the best guards in the NBA. Time after time, Reeves continues to exceed all expectations and is now firmly an all-star caliber player. He's putting up 28 points and 7 assists per game, shooting 51% from the field, and with his ability to separate off the dribble, pull up from all 3 levels, and get to the rim at will, we need to stop looking at him as just a good third option and start acknowledging that he is a truly elite talent. Next is the Memphis Grizzlies, and the cold hard truth is that Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the NBA's most overrated defenders. Jaren is a former winner of the Defensive Player of the Year award, and accomplishing something like that obviously boosts your reputation tremendously, but over the last 2 seasons now, the Grizzlies have been in spots where they've needed to rely on him to do more, and he has not been able to give them more. His defended field goal percentage no longer stacks up amongst the best in the league. His blocks are way down from his peak. The Grizzlies' defense as a whole is only in the middle of the pack now as the 15th ranked defense, and the fact that Jaren is one of the worst rebounding big men the game has ever seen, grabbing just 5 rebounds a night, is starting to become more inexcusable. Next is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the cold hard truth is that Rob Dillingham was a bad draft pick. The thought process was right, as the Timberwolves are a team in desperate need of point guard help, but it's not looking like Dillingham is going to be able to be that guy for them. His deficiencies as a defender have proven to be just way too tough to overcome, as he's one of the smallest and lightest players, which makes it easier for bigger guys to target, and his incredible creativity on the ball has not been able to translate to actual production on the offensive end. Next is the New Orleans Pelicans, and the cold hard truth is that the Zion Williamson era needs to come to an end. The Pelicans tried everything they could to make it work with Zion as the franchise pillar, but Zion Williamson just has not been able to become the type of transcendent superstar that the team thought they were drafting, and with all of the time that he misses every season, they can no longer look to him to lead. They've now been stuck in the basement of the Western Conference standings in back-to-back seasons, and with this being Zion's 7th season, more than enough time has gone by to come to this conclusion. Next is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the cold hard truth is that there are no other teams in the league on their level right now. This one is more of a tough pill to swallow for the rest of the NBA, but the Thunder truly sit in a league of their own. They haven't even had their second best player for most of the season, as Jalen Williams just recently came back from his injury, and yet they did not skip a beat and are currently at the top of the standings with just one single loss all season and a top 5 ranked offense and top 5 ranked defense. Next is the Phoenix Suns, and the cold hard truth is that Dylan Brooks deserves your respect. Brooks has been one of the NBA's biggest villains for years now, and has faced a ton of scrutiny from fans, the media, and the general public ever since the Grizzlies banished him in 2023. Nobody wants to admit it, but Brooks is a culture setter and leader that elevates defenses everywhere he goes. The Rockets were the worst defense in the NBA before he arrived, and then they shot up to the top 5 with him. The Suns were a bottom 5 defense in the league last season, and now this year with Brooks, they're a top 10 defense. He's the kind of player that you hate to play against, but love to have on your team, and his impact speaks for itself. Next is the Portland Trail Blazers, and the cold hard truth is that they are a year away from being dangerous. The Blazers are laying the foundation of a squad that have pieces that can defend at an elite level, their young guys are starting to blossom such as Denny Avdia into an all-star talent, and they've got veterans to tie things together with Jrue Holiday proving that he still has a lot left in the tank, plus Damian Lillard will be back next season, and while he will probably be a shell of his former self at his age with his injury history, he'll still give them another quality scoring option to tie things together with, and another year of development to anticipate too from their younger crew. Next is the Sacramento Kings, and the cold hard truth is that DeMar DeRozan is not a valuable asset. With the Kings looking like a team ready to tear things down and ship out their talent before the trade deadline, I've seen a lot of Kings reporters and analysts discuss the idea of moving DeRozan to a contender to get themselves some assets for the future with. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but DeRozan and winning basketball do not go together anymore. Contending teams will not be wanting a ball-stopping ISO scorer that still has never embraced the three-point line in his game, who also does not defend a lick. DeRozan is a negative asset at this point, and they need to temper expectations on the market for him. Next is the San Antonio Spurs, and the cold hard truth is that Victor Wembanyama is not quite an MVP caliber guy, yet. In the opening week of the season, Wemby was wrecking games in ways that we never thought possible, and the world was ready to anoint him as the MVP and every other award possible. But then he came back down to earth a bit in the following weeks, and everybody just needs to take a deep breath. Yes, he is an insane talent and is one of the best players in the game, but players need to earn that level of credit and praise, and Wemby still has a lot to prove over an extended period of time and in the playoffs, which he, by the way, has not even made yet, before he gets there. And finally, the last team is the Utah Jazz, and the cold hard truth is that Cody Williams is already a bust. Williams was a top 10 pick in 2024, he had one of the worst rookie seasons of all time amongst players that played 20 minutes or more per game, and this year, he's once again struggling mightily, averaging just 2 points per game, shooting 33% from the field, and 11% from 3. He's been sent down to the G League to try to regain some confidence and form, but it's just not looking good at all for him. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think people need to accept as the truth now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.